All right, guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay. A week is down with the iPhone 14 Plus. There's so much that I like about this device versus having the iPhone 14 Pro Max. That might sound crazy, but I think a lot of people can learn a lot from trial and error and just testing things out. And that's me. I'm always even though I'm a content creator and I have a lot of tech, I'm actually always looking for the best deal for the consumer and what I think might be a good fit for me as well. So I didn't just buy this device just to review it. Most of the times when I'm buying devices, I'm buying it so I can get personal use out of it, and I'm a creator, so it's a bonus for me. I get to use it, I get to tell you my thoughts on it, and this is how I feel about the 14 Plus at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and knock this out about the hardware. The hardware is very, very sleek. Now, if you don't know, I got rid of my Sierra Blue 13 Pro Max, and I got this, and I bought the 14 Pro Max as well. Well, of the two, this is my favorite one. Out of this and the 14 Pro Max, I like this better for a few reasons. I've learned that the camera quality coming from this device is the same as the 14 Pro Max. I just don't have a telephoto lens, and that's it. And that's not something that I have to have per se. And I mean, it is nice on the 14 Pro Max, but I've learned that after some use with this next to this and the 13 Pro Max, which you still have, um, I don't see much difference for camera quality per se. I guess you could say it's a little bit better than the 13 Pro Max, but I really can't tell the difference, folks, if I'm being honest. They all look really solid, except for when you start to put them against other devices and you start to notice the difference in color tones. So I would say that that's one of the main reasons I think I like this one a little bit more than the 14 Pro Max is the camera quality is there. So, I mean, the straight up 4K video, uh, 4K front and rear, cinematic video, 4K 30, and that's something that the 13 Pro Max doesn't do. And then the 14 Pro Max, while it does cost $1099, this costs $899. That's a $200 difference, and I asked myself, is it really worth going for that extra telephoto lens and the ProMotion display? Because those are the two things to me that might stand out the most. I can't tell the difference with the ProMotion not having it, but when I do put it next to the phone, yeah, of course you might be able to see a little bit more smoothness. But ask yourself, is it $200 smooth? And as far as the camera goes, that's going to be all this is subjective, but objectively speaking, I don't think it's even necessary to go to the 14 Pro now that I've used this. Now, the one thing that I do miss, and I'm not going to lie and say I don't, for the past week of using this, is the dynamic island. Now that to me, that's what you give up when you go with this version or any other of the models that are not pro models. So if you don't go with a pro model, um, if you don't go to pro model, you're going to still enjoy this device. You're not gonna have the dynamic island. That's it. You get all the perks of Face ID. You get everything. It's just the dynamic island makes the Pro the Pro. To me, not the cameras, not the ProMotion, all that stuff. The dynamic island, Apple knows what they're doing by separating those good features to the Pro models only. And I said this was going to happen too. By separating those features only to the Pro models, they want you to spend extra money. When in reality, people who have the 13 don't have to move to the 14. But if you want a bigger display and you don't want to move to the 14 Pro Max, this is your option. This still has the high resolution display of the 13 Pro Max. Still has a good enough peak brightness outside. And it costs less than the 14 Pro Max. Now, the 14 Pro Max at 128 gigs is $1,100. Now, I bought the terabyte, and we know how much that costs. So, having this option come in a 512 and it's 1099, I believe, versus the 128 gig model of the Pro model, you get three times the storage. You get all the storage, and then you get the same great cameras. And the plus to going with this one is another thing why I like it so much is it weighs a lot less. This weighs just over 200 grams, and you can really feel the difference versus the 248 or 46 or so on the Pro models. The weight in your hand and in your pocket is significantly different. It really is. So that is a huge plus for me because if I'm working out or I'm doing something and I wanna keep this phone in my pocket, it's a lot less in weight when I'm running, walking, doing whatever I'm doing. This is just better on your pocket. And then the fatigue of holding this device for some people might be an issue. Or of holding the 14 Pro for a long time, you could possibly get fatigued. With this device, you could still get fatigued, but probably not as quick as the Pro. I'm telling you that 46 grams or whatever the difference is, 40 grams, you can feel it, folks. And then also the materials used here make this one a lot lighter. After a little bit of research, the stainless steel versus the aluminum, that's going to be a lot different. So I feel like Apple knows what they're doing, and I know why they brought this device out. This is going to appeal, and I want to say this: even though this didn't have the initial pre-order where you get it the next week or so, this device is probably doing very well because they're going to be people that walk into a store and they're going to say, "Oh man, is that a bigger? What is that?" And then the people can tell them, hey, this is a more affordable version, a larger version of the 14, but it's more affordable than the 14 Pro Max. You still get that big screen, all the things that the salespeople want to say. This is going to be really appealing to people, whether it's anybody, I think of all ages at this point. Some people just really like large phones. And this is Apple's, now quote me now, this is Apple's affordable large phone. Yeah. So when it comes to price, there's a lot of people that always say, well, I can just get last year's flagship 13 Pro Max. Well, I have the 13 Pro Max. And honestly, I still like this better. That telephoto lens is not worth staying with the 13 Pro Max, in my opinion, just to say that you have ProMotion and a telephoto lens. This one has the better cameras. The being able to record 4K cinema on the front as a creator and a person who likes to shoot like that, that is fantastic. And better yet, the quality is great. So you get the crash detection on here. Like a lot of people have been trying to sell others on telling them they shouldn't buy this device because it's last year's device and last year's chip with today's price, the terminology. And I just disagree with that. I see the point they're trying to make, but would you rather get today's device with all the tech you can get from the company, or would you want to spend more and get less for the previous generation just because that model has a few things this one doesn't? It doesn't mean that that model is better than this model, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder and truth is in the eye of the beholder. And if a person believes that this is a good device for them, they're gonna get the most out of it. Now, I like that Apple has at least moved to the storage minimum of 128 gigs. Should have been like this a long time ago. I don't know why they play us like that. It's not all roses with Apple. They do a lot of things to get money from you. And even this device starting at 128, okay, I appreciate it. Yeah. Now, before we leave this entire segment of price, some people are saying this device should have cost $749 or $849 or 800 or 849. I think people were saying. I don't know how people come up with this pricing, but Apple is the one with the strategy on how to make money off of people. And none of you guys probably who say this aren't business owners, or you don't really know the logistics of how to keep a customer buying. So from a strategic standpoint, this is a smart move from Apple. This will battle several Android phones and it will win. Performance will be better with last year's chip. If we're being honest, this social media on this device flows like butter. It is nothing like an Android phone. Social media is just better. The developers who run the social media apps for these, they definitely do things different for iOS. iOS consumers reap the rewards of very nice social media experiences. And so, with that, the developers probably get more money. So, with Android developers, the way some of the apps are on Android, it's like, man, but the difference is on the flip side, a lot of these applications on iOS, they're not free. You have to pay for them. So, that is the difference. On iOS, you might have to pay for something that is free on Android. But you want to pay for quality, or do you want to pay for something that is going to keep crashing on you? I don't know. I'm not saying all apps crash on Android, but I'm telling you the truth as an Android person. And folks, I have all the latest flagships: the Fold 4, the 22 S22, Pixel 7 Pro, all the things you can think of. I'm telling you, the quality and performance that you get when you're dealing with iOS versus Android, it is different with the applications. If a person denies this, I get it. I understand you're loyal to Android. Remember, I'm an Android guy, but I just feel like the developers, it shows that the developers get more money when producing things for iOS. So the software experience on this device, it can beat down a lot of Android devices. It can, if I'm being fair across the board. So checking box on this device, the performance is great. The cameras are phenomenal. The screen is beautiful. The hardware is sexy and nice and beautiful and sleek. It's lightweight. You put a case on it, and you still have a beautiful device. I mean, it's just a matter of what the person will prefer. But I think in today's world, social media leads the way. Meaning, people are going to want to get the best from their cameras. They don't want their cameras to overheat when they're trying to do a video. That's an issue that I'm having right now. Well, I'm not having the issue per se, like continuously, but when I shot the video versus the Pixel 7 Pro here, it overheated once on me. It made it for about 4 to 5 minutes before it overheated, but it made it in direct sunlight. But that's an issue though, and that's their chip. But Apple, on the other hand, their consumers are not probably complaining about overheating while they're recording video in cinematic. I'm not. Now, while the cinematic video to me is better on the Pixel 7 Pro, still, if I can't shoot 10, 15 minutes without it overheating or worrying that it's going to overheat, how is that going to solve an issue for me? So and you can see I'm being totally fair here. I'm team Android all the way, but the facts are the facts. If you have an issue with a device, we should tell them about it. And I've pointed it out already in several videos that my device overheated once or twice, but this device has never overheated on me. I'm shooting videos with it, doing content with it. Most of the shorts that I've done have been with this device. So you have to decide. It's up to the consumer to decide what they want for themselves. And I say, this is a good buy at $8.99. And then to top it off, if you buy it through a carrier, you probably can get it free. You can do some old trade-in or something, or trade in an old device, and the carrier will give it to you free as long as you stay with them for 24 months. Bill credits are a thing now. It's a way for carriers to make money off of you and keep you locked in with that carrier. But if you decide you want to buy it outright, try to get any discounts you can, do a trade-in if you can, trade in your old iPhone. Anybody who has the iPhone, I would say the iPhone 11 backwards, this is going to be a huge upgrade for you. You're going to feel like you are floating on cloud nine. I don't recommend that a person try to scour down and search down the iPhone 13 Pro Max just because the tech world says that is the better device. And folks, I'm in the tech world. I'm a creator trying to create for you. I wouldn't recommend the 13 Pro Max over this just because it has ProMotion and a telephoto lens. What else is so different about? Okay, you got stainless steel, you got a nice hardware, but this is nice hardware. You see, so it comes down to what you like, and you should always buy what you like and what you want. And these videos that you watch, you need to watch them that way. Like, okay, this is just this person's perspective, but let me see if I can find some value in what he's saying or what she's saying. That's the way you should take these videos that we post. And I'll say we, I'm not separate from anybody else. I think this is a good purchase. And I can see a failure with them with the price, how some people might think it's overpriced, but you've got plenty of other devices that are $8.99 that probably will not perform as well as this. They just won't, folks. That's just the thing. And this device will continue to get updates for how many years? I mean, Apple's they're still updating their 6 lineup. I mean, come on. So they've proven to themselves that they'll support their consumers. But with this device, I do understand your point of view if you think it's not worth it. I'm not saying you're wrong because there's no wrong answer to any of this. It's all in perspective. If you think this is a poor purchase, I know you're going to tell me in the comments, you probably didn't even watch this video probably, and you just typed out iPhones are trash, or this is a horrible, only a sucker will buy this, or you'll start telling me what Flossie Carter said and whoever else said. Think for yourself, folks. Just remember that. There's plenty of people that are going to buy this device because it technically is a really good deal coming from an Apple standpoint. And even some Android users who want to get into iOS and they want a big iPhone, if they can't find the 13 Pro Max and they want to buy this, or they want the latest offering from Apple, it is this. This is their most affordable big phone with crash detection, newer upgraded cameras. Put them side by side. There's a few things that this phone can do that the 13 Pro Max can't. I said that before, but it's up to you to decide. So it's your man Jay. I hope you guys enjoyed a quick follow-up after a week with this device. like I said, I think I like this definitely better than my 14 Pro Max. And I told you I would make a decision. I'm past my return period for my 14 Pro Max, but I told you I would make a decision whether I would keep this or sell the 14 Pro Max. And the answer is sell the 14 Pro Max. This is a really nice device, lightweight. It suits me nice for an iOS person because remember, I prefer Android overall. I think Android, the things you can do with Android are just limitless, and devices like this take it to the next level. I mean, come on. And then you got the same pricing on this device. You're getting a whole bunch, folks. You're getting a better overall experience with cameras and things like that. But Google's got some work to do with that Tensor chip still to this day. But nonetheless, iOS, the iPhone 14 Plus, folks, if you get this, the battery life is off of the charts. You will get at least 3 days with this device. And I consider myself to be a bit of a heavy user. So having to only charge this once every 3 days, once every 2.5 days, I'm saying, like, you really should not have to charge this depending on what you're doing. I'm not going to say it's guaranteed, but using this, I've been using this for like a lot of social media, like watching YouTube and watching Netflix or whatever, viewing a lot of movies and stuff on it, and then playing a game, simple games, but it burns through. I can play it for 2 hours worth on this, and the battery drains, it sips. So if you want to play games on a bigger screen, you want to watch movies on a bigger screen, you don't want to spend that pro money, and you're not impressed with the dynamic island, or you just feel like you don't have to have it, or you just want the latest from Apple, and you don't want to dip into your piggy bank too much. You want a big iPhone that's not going to break the bank as far as Apple terms, because I'm not saying this is cheap. This is $8.99. But again, finance it through your carrier. Do what you need to do. It's your man Jay. I hope you guys enjoyed. A week later, there's my answer.